Welcome to the Unfuck Your Fitness podcast. I am your host, Christy Castillo, and I'm here to give you real talk and cut the BS so you can actually enjoy building a body you love. I'm a personal trainer obsessed with giving you simple action steps to take you from feeling stuck to feeling sexy. Let's go. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's episode. I am going to be talking to you about the topic of intentionality. This is not rocket science. This is not something that you've never heard before. This is not groundbreaking news or some kind of a huge revolution, but honestly, nothing that has to do with your health and fitness really is. It's just a matter of keeping it simple, cutting out the bullshit, and getting back to the basics. And that's a lot of what I talk about. But the words be intentional, or however I've been saying it lately, whatever I'm trying to say, it's been coming out of my mouth a lot lately. And it's been something that's been on my mind for myself. And I just keep saying, I need to be intentional this week. I've got to be intentional about my macros. I have got to be intentional about being present with my family and my daughter in this time of graduation and open house. And I've got to be intentional about really spending my time and my energy wisely. I've got to be intentional about getting, my goal right now is 12K steps a day. And for some of you, that probably seems like a lot. For some of you, that's not very much, but that's my goal currently. And to be honest, I have to be intentional about that. I have got to go for I've got to go for 2 30-minute walks a day. Some days I've got to go for at least one if I'm up and about. Right now I'm sitting recording this podcast. I sit a lot to work. I have got to be intentional. And that's something that I've really been thinking about lately. And just, it's in the forefront of my mind all the time. And so I wanted to talk about it because I think it's something that, again, it's not groundbreaking. You've heard the word intentional and you've heard it in different circumstances in your life, but quite possibly you've never put it together with your health and fitness. Like, quite frankly, I'll just come out and say it. I actually put this on my stories this week, and it just kind of, I was actually going for a walk and I was like 12K steps a day is my goal. And it kind of like came to me like I didn't want to go for a walk. I didn't really have time to go for a walk that day, but I made it happen. I did it intentionally. And I was like, truth bomb, you won't get healthy and fit without being intentional. Like, you have got to be intentional about it. And when I kind of like wrote it in those words, I'm like, ooh, podcast episode, like I need to elaborate on this, and really not elaborate because you've never heard it, but elaborate because I need to drill it into your mind so that it is in the forefront of your mind as well. So the way that you got unhealthy, the way that you got unfit, the way that you don't have muscle, or you have too much fat on your body, or maybe you just went to the doctor and your levels are not good, the way that you got to where you are, even whether that's broke, tired, sick, right? Whatever it is. I talked a couple episodes back about how no one's going to do it for you, right? No one's coming to save you. Like, you have to take responsibility for what got you here and then intentionally move forward. I do talk about this in that kind of way, but today I'm just going to drill that intentional piece in. You did not intentionally get unhappy, unhealthy, overweight, out of shape. That was not intentional. So the way that you got to where you are now, and all of us have an area of our life we can improve on, right? But I'm going to talk about this in terms of health and fitness. Of course, we are unfucking your fitness. What else would I talk about? So you unintentionally got to where you are, unhealthy, sick, overweight, not muscle tone, right? Whatever that looks like for you particularly. And this was me a couple weeks ago being like, Christy, you are now at the highest weight. I talked about this a couple episodes ago. You are at the highest weight you've ever been, not being pregnant, and you're okay with that. And that's a good mental shift, but you unintentionally got here. It wasn't like I was working toward that number going up on the scale that far anyway. I had to really look at myself and be like, you've been unintentionally gaining some weight, putting on some fat, eating too many snacks. Like, you've just been kind of winging it. And that's what we do. We wing it to the point to where we are then like, I don't like where I'm at right now. And that thing is that we then just try to wing it out of that, right? So we unintentionally get to where we are, let's say unhealthy and unfit. That's what I'll call it. We did not intentionally get unhealthy and unfit. That was not our goal. We didn't set out one day to be like, oh, how unhealthy can I get? How unfit can I get? No, you unintentionally did that. You can't unintentionally get yourself in shape. You have got to be intentional about getting yourself out of the condition that you are in. If you want to start getting more steps, if you want to start drinking more water, if you want to start working out 3 days a week, if you want to start tracking your macros and eating more protein, you are going to have to be so intentional about that. And I don't know if I've ever said this before, and it makes me kind of mad that I haven't, because this is the foundation of it, right? But this is why you track the night before or the week before. You track your foods before you eat them, because you are intentionally saying, this is what I'm eating for dinner this week. This is what I'm having for snacks this week. You have to be intentional. That's why you meal plan. That's why you meal prep. That's why you set your workout clothes out the night before so you don't have to think about it in the morning when you get up. That's why you plan a time to work out. That's why you go to the grocery store and get the supplies that you need, the ingredients you need to make the food so you can prep it, so you can eat it. This has to be intentional. So I want to make that very, very clear. And I know, again, this is not something that you're going to be like, wow, never thought of it that way. Or maybe you haven't, because there are times when I'm like, why have I gotten to this place that I am, whatever that looks like? And then I'm like, because it was unintentional. You didn't do it on purpose, but that's the problem. You didn't do it on purpose. We should be living with purpose. We should be getting out of bed with some sort of purpose. We should have a plan to work out, to eat healthy. You cannot wing it. That's not going to work. No one has gotten healthy and fit by winging it. If you see someone that's healthy, fit, has got their shit together, looks strong, eating on a plan, right? And actually doing that, not just tracking their food the night before and then fucking it up and eating something different the next day, that you probably intentionally ate something that wasn't on your plan. So that's on you as well. You have to intentionally make the right choices, but no one has gotten healthy and fit by winging it. And you won't be the exception to that rule. No one has gotten healthy and fit by hoping that it goes better tomorrow. Like, oh, well, I really fucked up today and overate and didn't get my workout in and nothing went right, but I hope tomorrow goes better. No, it won't. We're not going to hope our way to a healthy and fit body. If you're not intentional, you will find yourself starting over every Monday. That's how that happens. If you're like, I can't get my shit together on the weekends, I overeat every weekend. Well, be intentional about not doing that. Why do you keep doing that? Like, I understand there's parties and there's things, but at the end of the day, that's on you. Intentionally say, I'm going to this party and I'm going to eat X, Y, and Z, and I'm not going to eat anything else. Like, I'm not going to keep screwing this up. It's got to stop. Intentionally stop that. Otherwise, you'll have to start over the next day. You'll have to start over that next Monday. And for what? When I was starting over every single Monday, and I mean it, I would start over every single Monday. The next week looked the same. If you're starting over every single Monday, why are you doing that? Because your chances are you're going to show up and do the exact same thing that you did the previous week because you didn't intentionally make any choices. Monday would go great for me. Sunday, I would meal plan, meal prep, get my week all laid out. Monday was great. Wanted some junk food, didn't have it. Tuesday was pretty good. I was getting pretty tired and sick of myself and wanted some snacks. By Wednesday, I was over it. I was eating the foods I said I wouldn't eat. And then Thursday, I was really hard on myself about it. And then Friday, I'm like, I'll just start over Monday. But I did that, literally that exact same pattern for years. Because I didn't have a plan. Like, what am I actually going to do different? Am I just going to say I'm going to start over on Monday and try to do the same thing? Try to hit 5 workouts knowing I can't? Try to walk 15K steps when I know I can't do that? I don't have the time. Am I continuously setting myself up for failure? Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was intentionally setting myself up for failure, and that wasn't working. So if you're not intentional, you will find yourself starting over and over and over. And that's what a lot of us do. So there are tips, okay, as far as like things that I could say, but I don't really want to get into that in this episode because the tips that I would have you do, I've discussed so many times, and it's not to say that I don't want to discuss them again, but I want to encourage you to go back and listen to last week's episode, get a smart skill, go back and listen to the last episode before that and learn how to pivot, and go back to the last episode before that, because all these are kind of leading up. And I know that because this is kind of how my brain works, and it's in sync with all these messages that I'm like, are you in my brain? Are you in my brain? This is exactly what I'm going through. But you have to intentionally set yourself up for a different week. So make sure that and I work on this with clients, my one-on-one clients all the time. I have a couple right now that are like, I know that I'm setting myself up for failure. My life has changed. I have a different job. I got married. I have a kid now. I X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. And I keep trying to do the same things that I did 10 years ago, 3 years ago, and it's not working. And I need you to help me be intentional, quite literally, with how to move forward. Like, I'm showing them and helping them take inventory of their lives and then pivot into a different spot. And then we're being intentional with, this is what you're doing this week. This week, you're focusing on only water. And the next week, we're focusing on water and steps. And the next week, we're focusing on water and steps. And we're getting 3 workouts in to see if that's a good amount of steps and a good amount of water and a good amount of workouts. And then we're going to, take inventory again and see how that's going. We are intentionally working them into a new season of their life and making changes and setting up new habits intentionally. Everything has to be intentional. Otherwise, your habits that got you to where you are now, the habits that got you to unhealthy and unfit, those are your default habits. And we will default to those when life gets hard or when we're tired or whatever the excuse may be. We need to change the habits and make it so simple and intentional that our new habits, these new unintentional habits that we want to create, become the default. You have to do it with repetition. You have to be able to set yourself up for success in a way where I'm going to, do these very simple things: water, walking, workouts, macros. Those are the 4 things that are important. And if you can figure out how to get those things in alignment with your life, don't compare, don't see what anybody else is doing. Don't worry about my 12K a day. That's on me. That's not on you. But how much water do you need? How many steps do you need? How many workouts a week can you commit to? What do your macros look like? And then figure that out, and then be very, very intentional with moving forward towards that. So that's literally how I would have you do that. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the how. I really want to just drill into, because you'll figure out the how if you can figure out the what. If you can figure out, like, if this is a light bulb, which I hope it is, that you've been unintentional up until this point, and it's very, very simple to just switch your mindset and be like, okay, I've got to be intentional with this. If I'm saying I'm not snacking on Oreos this week, then God damn it, I'm not snacking on Oreos this week. If I say I'm getting up at 5 a.m. every day this week, then I better be able to do that. Otherwise, don't say it. If I say I'm getting in 12,000 steps a day this week, I'm doing that. Intentionally, I'm doing that. Last night, I went for a quick walk in the evening with my dog out on our trail because I had a couple more steps to get in. I had to do that. It was not an option. I intentionally went out of my way when I wanted to sit down and start my evening routine and got a walk in because it was intentional, because I made that goal for myself and I wasn't going to back down on it. So change your mindset. This episode is about, is this intentional, right? Are you saying you're going to not have any snacks this week and you're going to start your cut and you're going to start your diet or your whatever you're going to call it, but then something comes up at work, people are bringing in snacks, there's a birthday party, there's always something. You have got to say no. You've got to intentionally be in control so that at the end of the day, you are proud of yourself. You did something for yourself. No one cares if you eat the cupcakes at a birthday party. They might say something, whatever. They don't care. Just say, I'm not having any, period. You don't have to explain. If someone's bringing in snacks to the break room at work and you're like, I'm not having donuts, I promised myself I wasn't having donuts, don't freaking have any. It doesn't matter. It's no one's business. But if you set that intention for yourself, you better start to follow through. You have to be intentional and you have to take the action to follow through. That's where the confidence comes from. That's where the results comes from. So you have got to start living with intentionality. You've got to start living with intentionality with your time, with your energy, with your macros, with your walking, with your water, with your workouts. Okay. This has got to be intentional. You will not wing it. You will not wing your way to a better body, to better health, to better fitness. You just won't. So I hope this was eye-opening. I hope it was just a quick little pick me up. Like, you got this. You just have to have someone like me to say, this is what got you here. And this is a quick little thing that's going to get you to the next place. And so I want to keep this really simple. For the rest of this week, after you're listening to this podcast, think intentional. I'm going to be intentional with my time, energy, money, fitness, right? Be intentional. Keep that at the forefront of your mind, and you will see that little changes will happen gradually. I know you can do this. If you need any help or further assistance, or you want to talk about this, or you're just like, okay, I really needed this. Thank you so much. Pop into my DMs. I love hearing from you. I love to know that these episodes do speak to you, even though I know they're going to. But yeah, intentionally shoot me a message on Instagram at Christy Castillo Fit. I hope this was, like I said, just a quick little pep talk from me to you. Love you lots. I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to today's show. Go ahead and leave a rating and a review. And of course, follow the podcast so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And I would love it so much if you came to connect with me over on Instagram at Christy Castillo Fit. I will see you next time.